Rainollon here. Today is another build showcase and it's the Tenet Plinx. So let us immediately start. Today I'm going to show you two builds for the Tenet Plinx. So let's start with the first one. The first one is the Pistol Accuracy build. So the mods I'm using for the Pistol Accuracy build are Merciless Gunfight, which gives you critical damage and punch through. Magnetic Might, which gives you magnetic damage and critical damage. Galvanized Crosshairs, critical chance while aiming. Galvanized Shot, status chance, direct damage per status on target. Creeping Bullseye, critical chance and lowers your fire rate, but it's not that big of a deal. Prime Target Cracker for critical damage. Prime Heated Charge for a lot of heat. And Pistol Accuracy, which gives you weak point damage and weak point critical chance, which is a ton of damage. So yeah, these are the mods I'm using. For the Exos Weapon Adapter slot mods, I will highly recommend nothing. They are all really not that good for this weapon. It is a projectile weapon, but the 40% on this weapon, I don't see it. And the projectile is quite fast. The steady hand is also unnecessary. The weapon's fire rate is not that fast, and the recoil is unnoticeable. And yeah, I just don't recommend anything. Just leave the slot empty. For the Arcane, secondary Deadhead is for me personally by far the best in slot. Easy access to 360 increased damage, headshot multiplier, and weapon recoil. All these stats really good. For the passive, it says here the alternate fire charges a shot that pulls enemies within 6 meters before exploding. This is a quite powerful passive, so I'm going to talk about it very soon. For the stats, first let's talk about the element I chosen when I killed my Tenet sister, and the element is 60% cold, which is quite lucky. So it's cold. Cold and prime heated charge, which gives you heat, gives me blast, and blast is quite good, especially with the Pistol Accuracy setup. For the stats, fire rate is fine for this weapon type. Magazine is 10, reload is 0.8, which is kind of slowish, and it is a battery weapon, so it's kind of is slowish. Accuracy is very high, it's a semi-automatic, 1.2 punch through thanks to Merciless Gunfight. Riven Dispo, I will not recommend at all. Critical chance is really good, critical multi is amazing, status chance is kind of whatever, and the base damage is fine. So those are the base form stats. Now the alternative fire mode stats. And the alternate fire mode has slightly less critical chance, has the exact same crit multi, has more status chance, and has more overall base damage, and it explodes, and it has the exact same critical chance, multi-shot, status chance, and has a lot more damage, and explodes in a 6-meter radius. And yeah, it's quite disgusting. So yeah, those are the stats, the mods, the passive, the arcane, and it's time for me to show you in game. So I'm going to spawn level 200 Steel Path Orc Battle Group dudes. Spawn them in. Wait for the butchers to come out to kill them so I can get the Deadhead stacks, which gives me a lot of damage. You can see that Blast proc killed everything over there. I didn't even get my Deadhead stacks, but yeah, this thing chunks. Red crits all the time. Heavy Gunner chunks. The Alt Fire 4.7 meter radius, he disappeared. Heavy Gunner, just like a lot of damage. This thing hits like a truck. So yeah, that's the primary Accuracy setup. It hits like a truck. So time for me to show you the other setup, which is the Multishot setup. So the Multishot setup is slightly different. So I'm not using the Magnetic Might, I'm using Lethal Torrent, and I also am not using Pistol Accuracy, I'm using Galvanized Diffusion. So Pistol Accuracy and Magnetic Might are pretty much gone, and replaced with Galvanized Diffusion and Lethal Torrent. So this is the Multishot setup. The exact same thing is here, is I will not recommend anything. Deadhead, the stats are slightly different, but you will see the difference with this. So I'm going to now show you yet again in game, level 200 Steel Path Orc Battle Group dudes. So instead of you seeing constant red crits with a large number, you will see orange, maybe 2 red crits, and a bunch of numbers, as you can see there. Where you're going. Yep, Blast proc helps with clear. Now we see red crits sometimes, and yeah, it's orange and red crits. And I kind of like the multi-shot setup more because the fire rate is kind of nicer, and seeing more red numbers is also satisfying. It does do less damage when you aim enemies in the head because primary Accuracy gives you a lot of damage. And yeah, it's overall really powerful. I'm going to now show you the alternate fire. I'm going to pause them. Shoot the butchers to get the deadhead stacks here again. There we go. Heavy gunner, alt fire, boom. Everything disappears. Everything just takes so much damage. It's like a stealtha. It's a secondary stealtha alt fire, and it's quite powerful. Battery system hits like a truck. Rewards you with orange and red crits. Both of the builds are really good. I kind of prefer the Multishot more, and personally I think the Multishot is better, I will say, but the primary curate setup is also quite good on this weapon. So overall, it depends on your liking. You can make both builds work and use both of them, like I did, and they're both fine. This weapon is good. I like it. It hits like a truck. Maybe the only downside to this weapon is the clear. It's mostly a single target burst, single target DPS weapon rather than a clear weapon. But hey, not everything needs to be perfect. So yeah, that's the Tenet Plinx. I hope you enjoyed the builds. Thank you everybody for watching. Leave a like, sub, and see you all next time. Thank you. Goodbye.